Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
It's so cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Whoopi Goldberg just had a meltdown so dramatic it could have been its own Lifetime movie, complete with slow zooms, sad piano music, and uncomfortable close-ups. All triggered by a brutal roast from Greg Gutfeld that landed harder than her last failed joke. One moment, she was confidently basking in moral superiority, and the next, her ego vanished like it had been placed in witness protection. And if you thought daytime drama had already reached its limit, this takedown proved otherwise, turning into a spectacle messier than a Real Housewives reunion shot during a power outage. So brace yourself, because things spiraled quickly.
ABC suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race.
No.
No, it's not about race.
Ethnicity.
It's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for the
Whoopi Goldberg just had the kind of meltdown that could make a toddler seem emotionally grounded. One moment, she was delivering a sermon from her faux leather seat on The View, and the next, she was falling apart faster than a bargain store sweater in a washing machine. All set off by Greg Gutfeld, Fox News master of sarcasm, who came armed with enough sharp wit to burn through an entire season of self-important monologues in less than half a minute.
Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women,
Right.
wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on
Let's not act like this meltdown came out of nowhere. Whoopi has been heading straight for it like she had first-class tickets to Chaos Island. The View, once meant to be a platform for diverse and thoughtful conversation, has now turned into the on-screen equivalent of a broken group chat, where 5 opinion-loaded Siri clones battle to outdo each other in sounding self-important. With Whoopi leading the charge of exaggerated outrage, passionately waving her tambourine of indignation while fully convinced that louder means smarter, and that her emotional eruptions somehow count as acts of public service.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. No, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment industry.
Now picture the absolute horror on Whoopi's face when Greg Gutfeld, wearing his trademark smug grin and armed with a sarcasm cannon, finally fired back, delivering a roast so precisely timed and vicious that it sliced through the broadcast like a heat-seeking missile of mockery, instantly destroying whatever sense of control or comfort Whoopi had left. In response, she collapsed faster than a wet tissue at a toddler's tea party, unleashing a wave of theatrics complete with heavy sighs, dramatic eye rolls capable of causing whiplash, and that signature wide-eyed look of disbelief, as if the mere idea that someone would dare challenge the self-appointed oracle of daytime drama was some kind of universal betrayal.
And apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy. Ooh. Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Whoopi Goldberg's meltdown wasn't just an emotional slip, it was a full-blown theatrical display worthy of an Oscar. One moment she was delivering her routine monologue from the safety of her echo chamber on The View, and the next, Greg Gutfeld swooped in like a sarcastic knight armed with a roast so sharp it tore through her argument faster than a toddler ripping into a birthday present. In response, Whoopi reacted with all the elegance of a rubber chicken caught in a spotlight, making it clear this wasn't just a typical exchange. Because Gutfeld didn't merely disagree, he dismantled her argument with such precision it seemed like he'd rehearsed it for years in front of a mirror. And while she stood high on her emotional soapbox, Gutfeld calmly punctured her points with the ease of popping balloons at a kid's party. When she couldn't build a rational counter, she defaulted to dramatic gestures, sweeping hand movements, exaggerated eye rolls, and emotional theatrics fit for daytime television. Proving once again that playing the victim is her go-to move whenever she's challenged, pulling out the invisible oppression card like it's a magic shield. Though what she delivers isn't vulnerability, but polished performance. And while The View once promised real debate, it has now morphed into a glossy echo chamber with Whoopi at the helm as the self-declared queen of smug, where intellectual diversity isn't welcome and instead, each host tries to top the others with condescending sound bites while she presents her opinions like official statements after skimming through a few BuzzFeed headlines.
Brains are small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar...
The moment anyone dares to challenge the collective mindset on The View, it's like throwing gasoline on an open flame. Dissenters aren't given space to speak, but are instead talked over, subtly gaslit, or, if they're guests, quietly ushered off stage with a politeness so forced it practically shouts, "We're done with you now." Turning what was once a talk show into a live, unscripted Broadway version of a Twitter pylon. And then came Greg Gutfeld, not just offering criticism, but unleashing a tidal wave of reality that torched a set built on self-congratulation and unchecked emotion. Instead of casually tossing shade, he launched truth grenades that leveled everything in their way, leaving Whoopi mid-rant, looking like someone who wandered into a statistics lecture after a morning of binging inspirational Instagram quotes. Her face said it all. First, the icy glare that screamed, "How dare you challenge me?" followed by the signature sigh that implied disagreement was a personal attack. Then the unraveling began, complete with jumbled historical name drops, rambling hot takes, and wild gestures that looked more like mime auditions than debate. All while the control room likely panicked and scrambled for a commercial break, as the audience watched a host try to juggle tears, relevance, and smudged eyeliner while shouting about half-digested headlines, creating a moment of pure, unfiltered daytime TV chaos.
And down the hallway,
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here, and then also I learned that the cicadas are coming. Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in
Cicada,
like
cicada.
No,
100 years,
no.
for the first time in many, many years.
No,
And so-
every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, you know, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, you know, either climate change exists
That's one of
or
the
something
points.
is really
Except
going
Earth is
on.
returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't. I don't think that's...
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. Oh. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
The irony, Gutfeld didn't even have to try. He simply held up a mirror, and what it reflected was a show that had long outlived its purpose, no longer driven by meaningful debate, but running on the leftover fumes of recycled outrage. Exposing a host who mistakes loudness for virtue, and a panel so allergic to differing opinions they might need an EpiPen if someone mentioned a conservative viewpoint. Because Gutfeld didn't just roast Whoopi, he pulled back the curtain and revealed the hollow theatre behind the scenes. His sharp satire slicing clean through the fog of self-importance that clings to the View like stale cologne. And as Whoopi scrambled for a response, her co-hosts bobbed their heads in robotic agreement like background actors trying to follow cues they didn't fully grasp, showing that this wasn't just Whoopi's unraveling, but a collective descent into scripted chaos. Each of her stumbles met by murmured reassurance and wide-eyed uncertainty, as if the entire panel silently admitted this wasn't part of rehearsal. While Joy Behor's stunned face resembled someone having an existential epiphany about gravity, and Sunny Hostin tried to paper over the disaster with a mix of buzzwords and shaky legal talk that made the English language itself wince. All culminating in a perfectly choreographed display of evasion and self-pity, the daytime equivalent of a group hug. The Accountability Evasion Musical, where instead of engaging with a critique, they spun it into a martyrdom saga meant to resonate not just with themselves, but with every woman, every host, and seemingly every person who's ever proudly held a live, laugh, love mug like it was a badge of moral clarity.